It was a blistering Saturday morning, the kind where the air feels like a warm blanket you can't shake off. I was out on my lawn, watering my prized hydrangeas, dressed in nothing but shorts and a tank top, those sleeveless, breezy shirts that are a godsend in the summer heat. My sprinkler system had been on the fritz, so I was out there with a garden hose, giving my plants some love. The sun was beating down, sweat was dripping, but it was my weekend ritual, peaceful, simple, and all happening on my own property. That is, until a voice sliced through the calm like a knife through butter. Excuse me. Excuse me. What do you think you're doing? The tone was sharp, dripping with judgment. I turned to see Linda Harper, the Homeowners Association president, charging across my lawn like she owned it, a folder clutched in her hand like some kind of battle axe. This is completely inappropriate. Cover yourself up, saw, she barked, while VYing what looked like a stack of HOA rules in my face. I stood there, hose in hand, water dribbling onto the grass, staring at this woman who just stormed onto my property to lecture me about my clothes. Linda, I said, keeping my voice steady, I'm on my own lawn. Please get off my property. Her face twisted, like I had just insulted her entire existence. I will not, she snapped. As HOA president, I have every right to enforce community standards, and you, Nathan, are in violation. What happened next flipped the script on our quiet little neighborhood. Linda refused to budge, ranting about decency and property values. But within 20 minutes, it wasn't me in trouble, it was Linda, being led off my lawn and handcuffed by two cops who looked like they'd seen this MOVIE before. Let me back up. I moved into Willow Creek 3 years ago, drawn by the tidy lawns, the community pool, and how close it was to my job. The HOA fee seemed fair. At first, everything was smooth. The old board was chill, focusing on keeping the pool clean and throwing a yearly block party. But 6 months ago, Linda Harper swooped in as HOA president after a campaign that promised to restore standards. From day one, she acted like she'd been crowned queen, not elected to a volunteer gig. It started small letters about grass being a smidge too long or trash cans left out an hour past pickup. Then she got bolder, patrolling the neighborhood with a clipboard, inventing violations that weren't even in the bylaws. I became her favorite target after I passed on joining her so-called beautification committee, which was just an excuse for her and her cronies to sip coffee and gossip about neighbors they didn't like. She'd watch me from her porch across the street, her eyes narrowing every time I stepped out to mow the lawn in my usual get-up shorts and a tank top. Funny thing, though, her husband could do yard work shirtless, and she never batted an eye. But my tank top? Apparently, it was a crime against humanity. For weeks, I brushed off her snide remarks. Some of us care about looking decent in public, she'd mutter as we passed each other. Or, it's a shame when people don't respect the neighborhood's image. I ignored her, figuring arguing would just fan the flames. But that Saturday, Linda finally lost it. I was tweaking the sprinkler when I saw her marching across the street, folder in hand, her face set like she was about to wage war. She didn't stop at the property line. She walked right up to me, so close I could smell her floral perfume. Your attire, she spat like the word itself was toxic, is dragging down property values and setting a horrible example for the kids in this neighborhood. Her eyes zeroed in on my tank top like it was a personal insult. The HOA has standards, Nathan, and you will comply. I took a deep breath, trying to stay cool. Linda, I hear you, but there's nothing in the bylaws about what I can wear on my own property. I've read them cover to cover. That's when she whipped out her phone and started filming me. No warning, no permission. I'm documenting this violation, she declared, like she was some cop at a crime scene. This will be presented at the next board meeting when we vote on my new dress code amendment. Linda, I said, stepping back, you're trespassing and you're filming me without consent. I'm asking you to leave. Now. My voice was firm, but calmness wasn't about a shirt anymore. It was about her crossing a line. She didn't back off. Instead, she stepped closer, right toward my front door. I have every right to be here as HOA president, she said, flipping open her folder and jabbing at a highlighted paragraph. Section 4, Paragraph 2 allows board members access for inspections. Here's the thing. I'm a paralegal. I know a thing or two about property law. That section's about common areas and scheduled inspections with written notice. I corrected her. It doesn't let you barge on a private property whenever you feel like it. I'm asking you one last time to leave. She smirked like she'd already won. Or what? You gonna call the cops? My husband's best friends with the police chief. That was it. I pulled out my phone, started recording, and dialed 911. Linda's eyes widened like she couldn't believe I'd actually do it. You wouldn't dare, she hissed, but I saw a flicker of doubt in her face. 911. What's your emergency? The dispatcher asked. Hi. I've got someone trespassing on my property who's refusing to leave after multiple requests, I said, locking eyes with Linda, whose face was turning a shade of red I didn't know existed. Go ahead, call them, she yelled, loud enough for the dispatcher to hear. Tell them I'm the HOA president enforcing standards against an indecent homeowner. The dispatcher cut in. Sir, do you feel threatened? Yes, I said. She's being aggressive and won't leave despite me asking repeatedly. Officers are on the way, the dispatcher replied. Try to disengage until they arrive. Linda, though, was just getting started. She planted herself on my lawn, ranting about property values and VYing her phone to film me. I stood my ground, hose in one hand, phone in the other, recording her right back. When a police cruiser rolled up 10 minutes later, Linda's whole VYB shifted. Her voice softened, and she flashed a smile that didn't reach her eyes. 2 officers, 1 male, 1 female walked over. What's the problem here? The female officer asked. Before I could open my mouth, Linda jumped in. Officer, I'm Linda Harper, president of the Willow Creek HOA. I'm here on official business dealing with a resident VY olating our standards with his inappropriate attire. She gestured at my tank top like it was a smoking gun. I stayed calm. I asked Ms. Harper to leave my property multiple times. She refused and got confrontational. I've got it all recorded. I handed my phone to the officers, who skimmed the footage. The male officer turned to Linda. Ma'am, regardless of your HOA role, you can't stay on private property after being asked to leave. That's trespassing. Linda's jaw dropped, but she rallied. But as HOA president, I have authority. The female officer shut her down. HOA bylaws don't override state law or private property rights. You need to leave. Now, that should have been the end of it. But Linda wasn't wired like most people. I'm not Leah VYing until he agrees to follow our standards, she snapped, citing some nonsense section of the bylaws. The male officer's tone hardened. Ma'am, this is your final warning. Leave, or we'll arrest you for trespassing. Linda looked stunned. You can't be serious. I'm protecting property values. Do you know who my husband is? The officers exchanged a look the kind that says, Saw, oh, we got a live one. Saw, ma'am. Put your phone down and place your hands behind your back, the female officer said, pulling out handcuffs. Linda freaked. No, this is outrageous. I'm the VY Tim. She backed away, still gripping her folder, but the officers weren't playing. They restrained her, read her Miranda rights, and led her to the cruiser as she shrieked about her HOA status. Neighbors started peeking out, some filming, a few hiding grins. Linda's reign was crumbling, and everyone could see it. As they drove off with Linda still ranting in the back seat, I stood there, hose in hand, tank top and all, surrounded by curious neighbors. 3 days later, the police called. Linda was hit with charges: criminal trespassing, harassment, and disorderly conduct. She faced a DULOT $2,000 fine and possible community SARE VYC. The HOA board held an emergency meeting and booted her as president pending her case. The kicker? Linda was a real estate agent, and her arrest made the local paper, complete with a photo of her in cuffs. Her broker sidelined her, and her career took a nosedive. At the preliminary hearing, Linda spotted me in the courthouse and lost it. You ruined my life over a stupid shirt, she hissed. The judge wasn't amused and tacked an extra due law $500 on her bail for the outburst. As I walked out, I couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and disbelief. All this over a tank top on my own lawn. So what do you think? Was I right to call the cops? Or should I have just let Linda have her way to keep the peace? Should HOAs have the power to dictate what you wear on your own property? And let's get real, have you ever dealt with a Linda in your neighborhood? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're team tank top, and subscribe for more wild stories like this one.